Sometimes a single event isn't just a passing headline. It acts like a giant catalyst that sends shockwaves through an entire society. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're unpacking the incredibly compelling case of Bhushan Tiwari from June 2026. This is a story that started out in a local district, but just completely exploded into a nationwide discussion. It raises some really urgent questions about truth, due process, and honestly, the immense power of digital information today. We're going to walk through the facts of this case, step by step, relying only on the verified sequence of events. So let's just dive right in.
So you might be wondering, how exactly does one individual become the absolute center of such a massive controversy? How does a name go from being known only to local neighbors to literally shaking the entire state of Bihar and echoing across the country? To really grasp the sheer scale of the uproar following his death, we have to understand the buildup. We need to look at how incredibly fast information and, well, misinformation can transform a localized dispute into this massive public event.
Section 1. Who was Bharat Bhushan? Origins in Bhojpur.
Before the national headlines hit, Bhushan Tiwari wasn't some political operative or a big public figure. He was simply a locally known resident of the Bhojpur district over in Bihar. And this ordinary beginning is absolutely crucial context for us today, because the massive scale of the eventual controversy stands in such stark contrast to his relatively quiet, local roots. It really highlights how modern events can completely bypass traditional boundaries, turning a local resident into a household name almost overnight. But in early June 2026, Tiwari's trajectory shifted violently. Following a series of local incidents, his name suddenly emerged everywhere in the daily news cycle. But here is the critical spark, the real game changer. This sudden rise was heavily fueled by unverified claims circulating all over social media. Different factions and individuals started sharing all these varying narratives online. And the crazy thing? None of these stories were officially confirmed. Yet they spread like wildfire, creating this highly charged atmosphere long before any actual official facts were established. Part 2, June 17, 2026. The incident. On June 17th, Bhushan Tiwari was killed in a confrontation with the police, and this instantly created two completely opposed narratives. On one hand, law enforcement stated the action was a legitimate, justified encounter. But on the other hand, Tiwari's family fiercely rejected this. They questioned the circumstances and demanded a fair, impartial investigation into his death. Now, we are definitely not here to take sides, but it's vital to understand that this stark division right here is exactly what ignited the massive public fallout. Part 3. Controversy and Protests. The Ripple Effect. The escalation was just breathtakingly fast. Look at this. In early June, we see a rapid rise in unverified news. Then, just a couple of weeks later, on June 17th, the fatal encounter occurs. And almost instantaneously, widespread protests erupt. When you view the events chronologically like this, you can clearly see how the groundwork of digital rumors basically primed the public for an explosive reaction the very moment a physical tragedy occurred. There's literally no breathing room here. It's a direct, rapid jump from online rumor to fatal reality right into public uproar. The aftermath was sheer chaos. Viral videos of the incident spread instantly, basically fanning the flames and driving widespread protests across various regions. As public sentiment flared up, political factions started reacting with conflicting statements, which completely fractured public consensus. Ultimately, citizens were left deeply, deeply divided over which version of the events of June 17th was actually true. Part 4. Investigation and Facts. Seeking the Truth. Because of the massive scale of the unrest, a formal investigation was initiated. But listen, here is the most important takeaway for us today. Even while authorities investigate, fabricated stories continue to just flood the internet. Media literacy is our only defense here. We've absolutely got to beware of unverified claims and rely solely on the official facts that emerge from the formal investigation. Anything else is just noise that distracts us from the truth. Which leaves us with one final lingering question. What will the official investigation finally reveal? The story of Bhushan Tiwari is still an open book, kind of lost in this thick fog of rumors and conflicting narratives. Until the final chapter is written, it's our responsibility to wait for the facts before drawing any conclusions. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, always seek the verified truth.